Good day. Welcome to another session with Guru Wonder. I'm your host, Gurvinder Singh. I often advise companies on how to improve their performance. We can do it technologically, we can do it tactically, we can do it operationally, we can do it in many number of ways. But one of the key factors that actually improves performance is people. So the first thing when I take on an assignment is I walk around along with the leadership and the concerned people, and I watch what they do and observe how people treat their juniors and employees, and can make a rough guess of how the organization is going to perform. Sadly, many people achieve success due to they're inheriting it. Sometimes it's just good luck, sometimes it's just being at the right place at the right time, sometimes it's just luck, plain luck. But invariably I've seen that those who have not invested in people eventually lose their success and they land up in problems. So, how do we treat the people who serve us? This is very vital. So, those who serve us are normally called servants, and they are usually paid for their service. A zebra by any name is a zebra. In modern speak, servants are called employees, and the owners are called employers. It makes the employee feel that they are more important and better than servants. Nevertheless, the relationship between the employer and the employee remains the same, no matter what you call it. But there is a hierarchy. The relationship becomes hierarchical, and usually the buyer of the service, that is the employer, has significant power over the employee who provides the service. Naturally, there is an imbalance, and the employer tends to become arrogant, rude, unreasonable. All not very good for an organization. Then we have this problem that in many organizations, the employee actually works for a faceless, soulless entity driven by their immediate bosses, standard operating procedures, and the human resources department. The employee believes that he's serving the organization, but in reality, he or she is serving people who wield great power over them. The employee's future, their security, and their rewards, particularly the boss. Shockingly, there have been some revelations by the police in Nasik here in India very recently, where one of India's most respected corporations, the investigation revealed gross misconduct, systematic abuse of power, including sexual abuse and blackmail of juniors, including with the active involvement of the Human Resources Department. This reveals a big difference, a disconnect between utterances of the organization and its actions. Servants are not bothered or not driven to perform based upon the management's expectation, the employer's expectations of top line, bottom line. These things don't matter to them. After, they are basically concerned with job security, appropriate compensation, and respect. So when we have these two measures, there's always this big disconnect. Many employers think if I only pay better, I can get them to perform better. And usually they do. The employees perform better for a little bit of time, only to find that after some time they revert back to being to their former selves, going to their earlier levels of performance. The key is any individual owner or organization that fails to provide dignity to employees will lose in the medium to long term. Disinterested employees neglect customer needs, quality of products, services. They just neglect them. And from this, one can understand where the organization is going to go. Acquiring skill and knowledge is easy because these are acquired from the outside and absorbed within us. But changing attitudes is a whole different ball game. Actually, attitudes are formed within us and then projected out into the wider world. And that is so important that unless there is the change from within, and the change will come when we recognize the need for change and take those appropriate actions to change, then only can our attitudes change. But most organizations try to introduce attitudes from the outside into the hearts and minds of employees. Whether it is your personal life or whether it's your professional life, if you wish to be successful and happy, focus on respect. And respect for others begins with respect for oneself. Well, there are a few things that I must clarify in this talk, which I think is slightly different. Sometimes, when an employee has unique skills and knowledge, the servant has more power than the employer, rather than vice versa. And then the servant, the employee, tends to get ahead of themselves, become disrespectful. They may or may not be, but if they are viewed as being disrespectful by the employer, then the employer will discard them at the first available opportunity. Unfortunately, many owners, employers regard disagreement as disrespect, and that creates its own set of problems. Well, that's enough for me for today. I hope you found this video useful and you liked it. If you did, please do press the like button, share with your friends and colleagues, and subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you on my channel again soon. This is Gurvinder Singh from Guru Vanda, signing off.